My friends, I think it's important to be honest with ourselves, with where we are in life. It's okay to not be satisfied. It's okay to be discouraged, to think that to not find yourself in place, like you're in places where you want to pray, or I'm sorry, you don't even want to pray, and now you're making choices on purpose that are dumb. You're purposely doing things because you're running from God. You think that it's going to be more satisfying. But you have this feeling inside. It's like you know you don't want to do this, but it's like you feel it's all you have. That's how we know the enemy has us in his mouth. Is when we know that we can't even feel safe with our God because of where he's taking us. Let me remind you of the Word of God where it says that he has plans to not harm you but prosper you. And yes, that was written to ancient Israel. But those words have purpose in your life too. So God doesn't have plans to prosper you. So God does have plans to harm you. That's the opposite. Oh, that doesn't apply. That applies only Israel. So God doesn't have plans to prosper us? Well, so he has plans to harm us? No, I didn't mean that. So what's the arguing about? Let's just go back and forth for no reason, just to argue, just to be children, just to be immature, just so I can have something to say. Why don't you sit down and listen for a second? Good leaders, they speak, but they also know when to. And they don't just run their mouths. They don't just speak. They listen. They take responsibility. They hear. And most importantly, they make hard choices. Everybody wants to be a leader until they have to make hard choices. What happens when you're placed in a situation where you have to make a choice? You have two choices and it's impossible. What do you do then? Oh, I'll worry about that. Really? Because how do you know it's not tomorrow? Today. That's what happened to me last year when I learned that I had to leave the home that I was staying in and I had to go to another place I'd never even seen before. That actually happened. We'll talk about that another time. The impossible choices, either I figure out a way to maintain my situation now so things are better, or I go and I risk my life in a place that I've never even seen a picture of. How do you do that? Be a good leader when that happens. I wonder what you would choose. Even if it meant you being homeless for 3, 4 months, 5 months, however many months. Easy to say what you would say from on a phone or on a TV screen or a computer screen. What happens when you're actually in that situation? Leadership is about using the resources that God has given you and navigating it through where you are now. Navigating through where you are now is what I mean to say. You need people for that to happen. You need connections. That's where people come in. You need resources. That's where people come in as well. You need wisdom. How do you even know what wisdom is if other people aren't in your life? God uses people to feed wisdom in you. You learn from. You gain wisdom. You gain understanding. His word is the most important aspect of it. But I'm also saying that people can play a part in that as well. You need God, you need people. And so those are the 5 things I've learned. And to be honest, there's a lot more. But those are the 5 things that I think that really touch my heart. And I want to use my words carefully. I don't want to say I feel or all this stuff. No, I know. I know it's touched my heart. And if I want to be honest, I'm still learning these things. The things that I just said, I'm still trying to figure all this out. Mad at God? I have anger towards God right now. I'm still sorting my feelings out. I'm still making certain choices because I don't even want to come as the guy that's like, oh yeah, well you're telling us, but you're doing this. Look, I'm just telling you the truth, okay? There's a lot of Christians out there as weirdos. They want to be the spiritual, well, I'm a relationship Christian. You're a weirdo. That's what you are. Using categories that the Bible doesn't even use. Mindsets that no one even thinks of except for freaking 21st century Americans. A relationship Christian. So, and God is just, oh man, that's my child. No, dude, he knows your heart. He knows what's in it. All these terms. Well, that word's not in the Bible. Is that thinking in the Bible? Well, no. Grow up. Grow up. I mean, that's a word for me, but that's a word for you. That's a word for all of us. Grow up. But no, it's the truth though. It's the truth. I think that we all have a lot to learn in this life, in this journey that God has us on. It's a very frustrating one, but it's a long one. And if we allow it, if we allow God to work in our lives, I think He'll do something amazing. For me, I'm just getting started. I'm only 26. South Florida, you know what I mean? Got a beautiful girl, got a beautiful family, got things going. Starting, really. But it's still hard. But I know it's going to work out. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going somewhere. I want this video to be a testimony that I can reference in the future, that other people may be touched by. And I hope that you're touched by it too. I hope that you're not listening to this and hearing it the wrong way. That at some points when I'm a little bit stronger in my tone or in my passion, it's misinterpreted as like, this guy thinks he knows something. Well, I do know something, but you do too. You know what I'm saying is true if you really listen to it. I know what God has told me through experience, through His Word, through trial, through tribulation, through pain, through suffering, through just all acts of life. I do know something, and you know something. And you know that if you stay angry with God all your life, you will be the same person. You will be just like the people that everybody complains about. You will be bitter, you will have no heart, and you will be nobody. You will not be somebody that will be highly desired. No woman or man's going to want to be around you. Your family is going to shun you, or is going to be at a distance. And if you're saying, well, they already have, well, they're not going to be the only ones. That's a hard thing to say, but it's also a true thing to say. What's true, what's false? How about that? I know there's some gray sometimes. Well, okay, yeah, but like, what is also like approach when it comes to these things? No, this is the approach. This is the approach. Because Jude says sometimes you got to grab them out of the fire, and you don't do this gently. No, you know what I'm saying? You grab them out of the fire, and some of y'all really need to be held of. Like understand where you are and what you're saying, what you're doing, and what you know. You really think that's the way to live? In rebellion and anger? It's not even really just rebellion. Well, it turns into it. Like I said, it's okay to be mad at God, but take it to Him. Be honest about it. Try to move on from it. Try to understand. Don't be that you're 28, bro. You're 30, you're 40, and you're acting like a 5-year-old. Why? I thought you were 30. I thought you were 28. I thought you were older. I thought you were more mature. See? Man, you know what? Sixth thing. Change the script. Flip the script. Sixth thing I've learned. Growing up is not this. Growing older is not the same thing as maturing. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you're growing up. It just means you got wrinkles. You just hit another. You just hit another number. Excuse me. You're just 1 year older than you were last year, and you think that means you're more mature? No, that means you're older. It could mean you're more mature, but not because of that. It's not in light of that. It's despite that. There's 30, 40-year-olds that act like 8-year-olds, 50, 60-year-olds that act like 20-year-olds. That's not maturity, that's immaturity with you having wrinkles on your face. That's what that is. And yet there's 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds that have the wisdom of what you would believe is a 50-year-old. And yet they're young. So 6 things, not 4 or 5, but 6. My prayer is that you guys would hear this from the heart that it's coming from. It's not coming here to condemn anybody. I don't want... You may be listening to this and you think that this is confirmation that you're just doing everything wrong. Well, if you're being honest with yourself, maybe you have, but maybe you haven't. The good news is this: wherever you're at, you can always start now by doing something different. You get to choose to do something different. You get to choose to do something different right now. Well, I can't choose to be this. I'm not saying be, I'm saying choose to do. Not choose to be, choose to do. Not be, do. 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 Not noun, verb. There's a difference. And when we sit here and stay stagnant, I'm waiting on God. When was the last time somebody ever waited on God passively and got anywhere? Waiting on God is an active thing. You have to act. You do what he says, and then you wait despite what he said he'd do. Or in light, what he said he would do. It's active. It's active waiting. Just like an active rest off working out. You don't go on your rest days and lift weights. And you certainly don't just stand around and do nothing. Some of y'all are saying, yo, well, I do. Some of y'all don't even do it. That's a different conversation. Just realize that you can start by doing something new now. Start by doing something different. You can be a fresh human being now. I'm not saying you'll be something different. You'll be something new, someone new. I'm not saying you'll be all these things, but I'm saying if you start by doing something different now, despite doing everything wrong before, you can create something more long term if you just give it time. And I'll end it with this. I promise I'm done. My grandmother told me today that don't be discouraged by something that's going on right now. Like right now it might seem like things are hopeless and it's not working out, but in a month everything can just change and just be going for you. And it seems like it happened overnight. And it definitely didn't happen over a 1 month course. Much longer than that, but in that 1 month period. And maybe you're not doing everything wrong. Maybe you are doing things right. So maybe you're like, I don't need to do anything different. Well, maybe all you have to do is just keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. Never stop. Don't you ever stop. Ever. All right. Until next time, guys. Love you, boys.